As a spouse, sometimes you're married to someone whose vision is so big that they're all over the place. And they go through hills and valleys. You know, those of us that are married, you've gone through a lot of different things. And I'm the one that can't be contained. We're all over the place. You're married to a man that we know, David Wood, right? He's really all over the place. But his vision brought us here today. And so I just want to ask you, I mean, you've been married to him to see the process. You guys were together in a van. Did you guys know that? You lived in a van. You've been through every step of the way with him. What is it like, or what did it take for you to find your voice in his vision? What did you go about to do that? Because we're here because of your aspect of your role and your purpose in this vision. But how did you get there?
Wow. Well, David thinks I'm hot, so that helps.
David what?
Thinks I'm hot. You know, I think that what gets us anywhere in life are our ability to really see people. And I saw David, and I saw who he really was, and I knew that he was a powerful and incredible person who I wanted to love and support. And I never thought that dreams were worth letting go of. I always thought that dreams were priceless. I didn't think that they had a price. I thought they were worth any amount of pain to get to where you wanted to go. Thank you. So how I got here is I was just willing to pay any price to see his dreams because I knew that he would support my David.
Wow. Did y'all hear that? I mean, let's keep it real. You know, when you're going through the hell, it's not fun. Right? It's not fun. It's not fun when you're living in a van. And I remember hearing David talk about Ashley having allergies. She's allergic to different things. And he didn't have the money to buy her the things that she was not allergic to. So he had to go to the store and buy her things that he knew was going to cause an allergic reaction in his wife.
Because I went to the store, I'm confused.
Well, this is what he shared. That the money that they had, basically, only could afford her the things that her body was allergic to. And he had to deal with that. That he couldn't afford to buy her what she needed based on her health situation. But, you know, I think having Ashley here and sharing this is an encouragement to many of the spouses who are with someone with a big vision and you're being a little impatient about the process. I think one of the greatest things that we can learn from what Ashley just said is the power of a supportive spouse. Because there's nothing more igniting than when somebody looks at you, and Dave Sharp taught us that this weekend, and say, you know what, I believe in you, and they walk with you. And the truth is when you have an Ashley by your side, who says, baby, no matter how much pain we have to go through, right? No matter if we have to sleep in a van, I'm with you every step of the way. Look at what this has created because he had the support of his wife. I just want to say thank you for being there as an anchor for us. Because you're staying on that foundation to keep him grounded and keep him centered and keep things together has allowed him to manifest this vision that has impacted all of our lives. So thank you. So this is, you guys have to excuse my voice. You guys have me hollering and screaming on top of that music last night at that party. But I hope you can hear me. But there is another woman on this stage that has endured a lot with her man as well. You guys know our co-founder, David Sharp. His woman is sitting right here, Erin. Right? And Dave is very transparent with all of us. And he has shared times when he was not at his best, dealing with addiction, not having his daughter Bailey, but you were there. You were there through all of that. She was there when he had that pickup truck, right, with the screwdriver. I love that pickup truck. And so your life has transitioned so much in these few short years. How has your life been affected? How was it affected? What things were you dealing with back then when you were going through the trials and tribulations? And in contrast, now, everything is way more peaceful and much more reserved. How is your life affected now by the changes?
That's a great question. Thank you. It's been a process, you know. The thing that comes to mind for me is I was reading this book this morning. I read the same book every morning. It's dated, and every day has a little reading, helps you wake up and get centered. And this morning, actually, the reading was about fear. So I was thinking just now about how that really applies to that question. I think that's been the greatest challenge for me personally, is overcoming that fear. And, you know, from the outside, I think it might seem like, you know, the changes we've gone through, you know, when you look at something from the outside, like a photograph, you're not really sure what all it took to get to that place. And our lives have changed in many ways. Things that you guys see are that, you know, we're more financially free now. We have the ability to travel around more. We've met some great, amazing friends and made these awesome connections. And, you know, you guys see that part, but we don't always show you the other side. And I think that can be applied to any of you guys. You know what I mean? We put these pictures on Facebook, and people see us in our lives, and they're not really sure what goes on behind the scenes. So, you know, for me, overcoming that fear has been the greatest challenge. So like I was saying, you know, the outside, it appears that things have just gotten better, and they have. I don't want you to take that away from this, but we've both grown so tremendously from this experience, and it's because we both were able to overcome our fears about the new changes that were happening in our lives. So I think that's just been the greatest lesson that I've learned. And, you know, I used that back when we were together before, and we use it still today. Just that ability to overcome fear, because that's the last thing we want to do, is allow fear to control our behavior. Because it prevents us from taking that risk that might get us to the next level. You know, and Dave has really helped me in that way. I'm glad that we both persevered to get here and be with all of you. So.
I experienced fear too. Do you guys experience fear? And so it's not like people that are successful don't have fear. I think we all have it to a certain extent. The main difference is that successful people find a way to push through it regardless of the situation, because the vision is there and the goal is there. So Aaron, just in follow-up to that, you mentioned you got through it, but here's a good question. How did you how do you overcome that fear? How do you handle that when you're not sure? I mean, Dave shared there were times where he literally had to decide whether he could put food on the table or buy you something for your birthday. Right? How do you get through that fear?
That's a great question. Well, I try to get through it gracefully, but that's I would say the biggest thing is, I think Ashley touched on it a little bit, just allowing the other person to be exactly who they are. Staying open to change and to other ideas. The biggest thing that's helped me is being open every day to a different perspective, because I tend to live right here. And when I open myself up to different perspectives from other people, it allows me to release that fear. Because my fears are my own. They're from when I was a little girl, you know. And if I open myself up to receive what other people are showing me and what the universe is presenting me with, then that allows me to change my perspective. And because of that, I'm able to let go of that fear. You know, other stuff I can think of is just connecting with our families and our friends, receiving that love, trying to be selfless and get out of myself. I'm a selfish person by nature. I'm a human being. So connecting with other people is always the biggest thing. Staying spiritually centered, connecting with our daughter. So yeah, that's it.
Aaron just shared something that I think is very critical in all of us, and especially when you're in a marriage, is being centered spiritually. And I know we have Sophia. Give her a hand. Sophia is the powerhouse, a part of the powerhouse duo, her and Aaron and Sophia Rashkin, and you guys saw them on stage yesterday, and that huge check. And they really do work so well together. We actually get a lot of time when we're at these different events to spend together, and they're such an admirable couple. But we've learned a lot about you and a lot about your growth over the years and how you've gotten to this point where you're really spiritually centered. And I think a lot of us need to find ourselves first so we can have that confidence. Because that confidence gives you the ability to let other people go their way without trying to control it when you're married, right? Because a lot of times, like you just said, you have to let them be okay with being themselves. And as a powerhouse couple, you're sharing the spotlight and trying to find your role. How did you get to your spiritual centeredness? And how has it helped you create the balance in your marriage while you're building an empire?
That's an awesome question. I've shared this in the past, and some of you that haven't heard my story before, just to backtrack a little bit, because I mean, all of us have challenges, and we're here on earth to learn lessons. There are many experiences that are put in our path that we're supposed to overcome and learn from. And so my experiences were I was raised in a household where there was physical abuse, mental abuse, verbal abuse. And so I grew up with a very low self-esteem, low self-confidence. Fear that we talk about is, always coming through, and it's what I do with that. The awareness is there, the fear is there, it's not going to go away. And when I catch that fear, if I catch that low self-esteem, low self-worth feeling, I immediately am aware of that and think of something positive immediately. Now that's not always easy, it's a challenge, but I've done it enough times, even when I don't want to. I focus on something positive to retrain my subconscious. One of the things that I do to center myself spiritually, that I work on constantly, guys, this is something you must work on constantly as part of your self-growth. I meditate. Not everybody is meant for meditation, okay? I happen to meditate, and that really grounds me. It quiets my mind. When there are self-limiting beliefs coming in, I catch that and quiets. I am always training my subconscious. So I do spend quite a bit of time meditating. Not everybody has that. Even if you like meditating, great. I mean, I can do it sometimes 1 to 2 hours a day. It is all about personal growth. I listen to a lot of audios of those that inspire me. There's just, we talk about audios and books. Anything that you want in this life, you are going to have to grow. And it's going to force you to grow. And you're going to have lessons, and you can decide whether or not you are going to learn those lessons through joy or pain. Okay? I could have easily chosen the route to go down the road of I'm angry, I'm bitter, hurt, and, continue down that road. Now, I have gone down that road. Okay? I have gone down that road. And how has that served my life? Not very well. Okay? It did not serve my life well. It didn't serve my family's life very well. And then I had to also remove people around me that were not serving in my life, that continue to perpetuate in that way. Now, I could have stayed around them and said, hey, I'm going to deal with this person and get through it, but, limiting your time with the people that perpetuate something that you are looking to remove from your life, that's, limit that time with them. And that's what I've done in my life. That's part of your personal growth. People come in and out of your life for a reason. And as you're growing, you're changing, you're molding into a different person, you're looking to fit into a new mold. Some things are going to come and people are going to come into your lives that just don't serve a purpose there anymore. Okay? If I have your permission, I'm going to talk a little bit about, that spiritual side. We have, and not everybody believes this, I believe this. I'm not here to convince you of anything. I believe that we have karmic contracts that we have to fulfill, and then once those karmic contracts are over with folks in our lives, it's over, it's ended, the contract is done. It's time for you to move on and grow in a different space. Okay? That's my belief. Not everybody has to believe that. Okay? So, spirituality, yes, keeps me very centered. I am always communicating with my soul, my higher source, whatever you want to call it. If you don't believe in it, that's okay. Like I said, I'm not here to convince anybody of anything. I happen to communicate very often with my higher source, because that is who I am. I am here to serve spiritually, and I am here to learn my lessons, and I choose to learn them with joy, so that I may inspire many others to get through all their life lessons and learn those lessons with joy and look at them as learning experiences that you all have to go through. So, here, if you want to know a little bit about what I say real quickly, in the mornings, the first thing I say in the morning is thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, God. And thank you. Thank you, God, for giving me the abundance of love, kindness, generosity, peace, patience, empathy, compassion, joy, happiness, health, wealth, prosperity, success, understanding, acceptance, tolerance, integrity, harmony, balance, relaxation, comfort, ease, having fun, grace, and gratitude. Every time I come across something that I am troubled by, that is what I say. Even if I don't want to say it, I do say it. Because it, again, it's training my subconscious mind to get past whatever and push through whatever that we require. As you guys rise in your leaderships, you are going to grow. There are going to be many things that will make you very uncomfortable, make you scared, and put a lot of fear into you. And it's natural to go back to where you came from and run away from the situation, but understand what is making you uncomfortable is making you grow. And push past through it. Push past through it.
Because we're in an environment where we're talking about dreams and lifestyle and making money. And a lot of people think your life is about technique, about the secret. And the true secret, I think Laura said this the other night when she spoke, is that it's in you. It's in you. When we look and just listen to what you're saying, I think when we have a spiritual centeredness, it removes you from feeling like you have to control every area of your life when you start entrusting that vision that you have. I heard one of my favorite quotes is, dreams are illustration from the book your soul is writing about you. I'll repeat that. Dreams are illustration from the book your soul is writing about you. And when I hear your story, I had a chance to sit down with her the other day, Tracey and I, and really hear her background. And I was blown away because you guys see her and you think, oh, they have it all together, they have 2 houses next door, they make all this money. And you never know where someone's background comes from. And when she shared what she did with us the other day about how she grew up, you can see how that spiritual centeredness, because I asked her, I said, how did you get here? And she said, well, Nicole, I had to go through some things and get some help, but I had to forgive. I had to let go and move on. So for those of you, yeah, give her a hand. So for those of you that might be stuck somewhere and you're doing all the techniques and the skills and the work and you don't see your life changing, it's because you have to search on the inside and tap into that greatest source of your purpose while you're here and really get to a point where you focus on your personal growth, and guys, you'll start attracting a lot of things. So you are phenomenal. You are phenomenal. Thank you. It's a huge, huge, huge issue. A lot of us are carrying a cross of being unforgiving. And when I was in real estate, I actually had a mentor share with me that as you begin to forgive, that you also be mindful about who you are attracting into your life as you move forward. And a quote that I learned there was that you should do your best to stay away from those who harm you unintentionally, just as much as you stay away from those who harm you intentionally. Right? I've experienced things in my life where I knew people didn't mean me any harm. Right? They didn't mean it. It was no malice behind it. But I found myself being caught up in their tornado every single time. Right? And because you love them or you care for them, you want to support them, help them, sometimes you go down faster. They can bring you down faster. You can help bring them up. Right? So as you forgive, remember to make sure you're still attracting those who can help you stay up. Now, this young woman, Mrs. Susan Beasley. You guys know Miss Susan Beasley? There are a lot of professionals. And when I say professionals, I mean people that have more traditional professions like accountants or physicians or attorneys. You guys know what I'm saying, right? And they go to the direct sales industry and network marketing industry. Some of them do, like Susan and her husband, Chris. However, the shift in our minds for some professionals can happen before others, right? And so when you start prospecting, you start speaking with your core influence of people that are still in the world of this professional trade, or what you would call it, their perception about what we're doing is that this is the lowest form of business you could ever have in your life, right? So something that's unique about Susan is that she and her husband have found a way to work on the traditional side of their accounting business, as well as be ultra successful in their home-based network marketing business, right?
We have indeed.
All right. So can you share a little bit with us on how you balance that when you have people that you respect and that respect you, but they don't respect what you're doing, and therefore will not validate and support you in your business in an endeavor outside of the professional side?
Thank you, Tracey. And probably this will resonate with very many of you sitting here today. And it doesn't have to be that you come from a professional background to actually feel this same thing. When Chris and I decided to make a big change in our lives and to fulfill our dreams, to travel the world and do all the things that many of you want to do too, it meant we had to break away a little bit from what we'd always done. We have, as Tracey has said, we had a management consultancy business. We're accountants by profession. And treading into this water of the network marketing life, you know, where everyone just talks about dreams and visions and making money, you know, it's not perceived as something very nice. I don't care about that. Having money is very nice. And helping people around the world to get money and have the life that they want is also very nice. The thing that's important here is that you will come across people, just as we did, who say to you, this is not a good thing to do, you don't want to be doing that. And I shared this in Austin. People said to us when we did this, you know, you've got a great business, you've got a great brand, people respect you, you've got integrity, you've got honesty. Why are you doing this thing? Well, what we turned around and said to them was, we're still honest, we still have integrity, and we're doing this thing because we believe it's the right thing to do for us, and it's the right thing for everyone in the world to do if they have a passion and a vision and a dream. And what came out of that since Austin, if I may my girlfriends and I had been writing a book that we never got to complete. For some reason, there was something holding us back, and we just couldn't get over that mindset shift, that belief that people would want this book and what it was we had to share. So what it was, we created and wrote a book called The Mindset Shift, and it shows anybody in any job, any profession around the world, no matter what they do, that if they have belief in themselves, that they truly, truly can achieve whatever they want. And that's our personal experience. We've shared everything that we've gone through, and we know that the mindset shift and the belief in yourselves, which all 5,000 of you here have, you can do it. You can truly do it.
From the real world represent us, right? Well, I think we've talked a lot about couples, and since I've been in this business, I've done everything by myself. And just recently, my husband came in not to join the business with me or work in the business, but to support me. But I know we tried before to work in business together, and that didn't quite work out. It was either marriage or business. But Melissa, you and Kevin have done a phenomenal job of identifying your roles. And I know sometimes as a wife with a partner, which 4 of you, 5, 6, most of you have your partners with you in business, sometimes you can hide in the shadow of the man. And not really, when people walk up, they'll say, "Congratulations, Kevin." They don't realize Melissa was behind the scenes making some stuff happen. So how do you handle that without being offended and letting that get to the point where it can potentially sabotage your business?
It's a great question. I mean, and I think there are a lot of people out there that have the same situation. They're both working the business, but it's a tendency just in the industry, in life, to look at the man first. And I'm like anybody else. I like to be acknowledged, There's a lot of things that I do that, it kind of feels nice to have somebody compliment you. But when I realize, and it's through just the process that we've gone through, just growth, period, which it seems like a topic that keeps coming up, so get a clue, is just that if we are secure with each other, then that's not an issue. I think that when money was an issue, I probably sought that more. Sought that outside validation. But since we have gone through so much together, and it's not to say that we're done. We're always growing. I think until the day that I close my eyes for the last time, I want to be growing. And it's really important. It's really important on this whole journey to success, which is where everybody is going. They see that shining symbol of success. That's where I'm going. I'm going to get there. What I've realized is that's all great, but who you become in the process is even greater. So we've just really grown together. There have been times, and I don't know if anybody else has experienced this, but when money is a real issue, you seem to look to the closest person to you to take your frustrations out on. And we were challenged many times with each other, really challenged, like, should I be with you? Maybe if I leave, that'll be the answer. But just remembering what brought us together in the first place, and then recommitting, sometimes daily, to where we were going and to the growth process. And it can be painful to go through the growth you need to go through to get to where you want to go. If you commit, though, that on the other side is really everything you want and the fulfillment of why you're here. I believe a lot of the way that Sophia does. The reason you're here, the reason you're drawn, I feel, to this movement of Empower Network is because, you know, there's so much more in you. We're such a step above, I really feel, in this network marketing space. Just the people I have met, it's like everybody that's drawn to this is so ready to go so much further than have it just be about the money, right? And that whole symbol of, you know, Dave talked about locking arms, and I see that symbol so many times during this business, getting together with people and whatnot. It feels like we're all together versus we're all running separate businesses. And that is a beautiful thing. And so Kevin and I together, to bring it back to the question, have been, you know, really touched by everyone we've encountered, our growth experience, and it's only strengthened our bond with each other. So if somebody wants to give him credit, it's okay. And I said this in Austin, I still get to spend the money. It's all good. And he should receive a lot of that credit because he does do a lot for our business. And so, you know, and I just figure, you know, maybe I forgot to say something that day to encourage him, so somebody else did. But I mean, it's great because he's my life partner. So I mean, why wouldn't I want somebody to encourage and affirm him?
An interesting story for me is since we've gotten that Maserati, people assume that it's the man's car, right? It's cool, but like we've been places, like we go to the dollar store, right? And nothing wrong with the dollar store. So we were at the dollar store, and we were in. I guess the guy saw us getting out of the car. I can't remember what I was driving. He was driving the car, but this third party guy saw us in the dollar store with his car or whatever. And when he found his opportune time, he walks up to Kilo and goes, "Nice car," right? So Kilo goes, "Oh, thanks." Right? And you know, it didn't move me one way or the other. The irony was that I didn't feel a need to be like, "That's not his car. Like, that's our car." So make it some type of reference about it. And then he said after that, he goes, you know, everybody thinks that people think he plays for the Falcons too. You guys, it's amazing what happens. But he goes, people think that I'm a celebrity, but you're really the celebrity, right? And I said, well, not in this world, right? This is only in our little niche right here with our family. Right? We think about that, but you know, at home we're just regular people that go to the dollar store and then make a difference. Something else that I find quite amazing is that when this group first met each other and agreed to work with one another beyond just the financial benefits, and we wanted to do something to empower women as well as the entire community. What we found was that we really bicker and fuss and fight and be catty about stuff. And you guys know sometimes the stereotype is that women are catty, right? Y'all act like y'all don't think that. We've all talked about that, how amazed we were that we could come up with ideas and share ideas and be more in unison with getting things done, and we're able to do it on a lot faster pace because it's not a lot of ego involved in what we're doing. Layla Black, you guys give her a round of applause. She was working with a group of women then, and she would have this photo up on Facebook of this woman with a do-rag on with a men's construction shirt, and she's doing like this, right? And she had like lipstick on. And her whole, what I took away from that was that you could still be a woman, you could still be feminine, you could still be girly in that way, but you could still be strong too. How do you rally women around, number one, themselves? And how do you allow them to embrace the strength that they have while also maintaining their femininity?
Yeah, good question. And I wish I could bring up all my ladies so they could answer this question. But then the stage would be crazy, right? So it's really strange because I said this on Facebook and I had a lot of people comment. But when I was growing up, I never connected with women. I always dreamed of having that like babysitter club, girlfriend, friendship crew that was BFFs and had matching necklaces, and it never happened for me. And I was bullied in school. I was overweight. I was insecure, and so I've realized now, looking back, perspective. It's a crazy thing, right? Looking back, I see that this was all me. And when I look at the women that we've rallied together, I look at the women in this room right now, there's something different about you. There's something different about what exists here right now. The main reason that women get catty, that women get jealous, that women get competitive is because we've internalized all of these blocks, all of these blinders that Ashley was talking about yesterday, all of these barriers, and all of these lies that we perceive as reality. Well, they're going to judge me. I don't look a certain way. I'm too old. I'm too fat. My hair is ugly. I have tattoos all over me. What are people going to think? I don't have pointy high heels on. What are people going to think? So we go into these relationships, we go into these partnerships with women, usually with this stack of insecurities that we're carrying along with us. So that causes, when groups of women get together, somebody's got to be in the limelight. Somebody's got to be the center of attention. When you can eliminate that, so what you said first, forcing women, teaching women, showing them a path to fully believe in their power and their purpose and their value, then you put women together, then it's crazy. And that's why this is so different, because the first thing that you learn here, you haven't learned Facebook, you haven't learned blogging, because that's all in the 15K. Right? You get the 15K. That's all in the 15K. But what you have learned is this belief in yourself that you have value, that your story matters. And when you can bring women together and they feel comfortable, there is no competition. There is only support. And I can tell you a story of a woman that made a really special journey to be here. She's been battling cancer holistically for the last 10 years. Her name is Nicole. So about 3 days before Nicole came out here, and her doctor said she has to go on this protocol. She's not allowed to eat for 48 days. And she's on this very strict juicing, shakes, and she put a post in our group, and she said, this is what I have to do. I don't know, the doctor doesn't want me to come. He says it's not feasible. It's, I'm going to be in a room all day with no food, no juicer. And instantly, I think there was about 20 women that just rallied around her. We had a juicer ready for her when she got here. We had, cutting board. We took her to Whole Foods. To look around at the women in this room and realize, when you get a woman on purpose, look out. Look out. So I want you to look around, and I want you to look at these women and see them as, these bearers of change. Because when women change, when women bring this confidence, I'm seeing it happen it's insane. These ripple effects of, their children are talking differently, their husbands are talking differently, thinking differently, their households are living differently because of how important our role is as women in our homes, in our families, in our communities. So we have to find that purpose. We have to find that strength because we owe it to our families, we owe it to our husbands, we owe it to the community, and we owe it to ourselves. So there's one last thing that I want to say, and it's to all the men. First of all, I love you too. Because I had a man come up to me yesterday, he said, I just wish you loved the men as much as you love the women. I do. And the reason that I love you men is because you have this inspired, empowered, just a mindset. And I'm seeing these women that are coming up, and there's no jealousy, there's no negativity. All of these men that are rallying around the women. And I think that honestly, men, if you can look around at the women around you, support them, the women in your team, lift them up. Because if you get, like I said, if you get a woman on purpose in your team, and I know men like to talk about dollars, that's a lot of dollars, okay? So inspire your women. It's funny because men kind of are like, oh, I'm not going to get beat by a girl. And when Toby and I get on stage, we'll tell you the story of how we first met, and he got beat by a girl. So, but yeah, so understand that mentality of lifting these women up, because these women will lead Empower Network global into every single home, every single family, and they will be changing lives for decades and decades and decades and decades because the power of a woman. If you ask any person, probably in this room, who was the most influential woman in your life, 95% of you would say your mother. Your mother. So think about the woman standing beside you, the woman that's raising your children, and the impact that she has on the future. And that's all I'm going to say, gentlemen. Thank you so much. I love you guys.
You're a rock star, Layla. That's why she's a rock star. Well, speaking of women's power, you know, a lot of times, once again, you see someone on stage, you see someone that has a voice, but you don't see the power behind that voice, right? That's creating the voice behind that person. Miss Jessica. She is a secret weapon behind the scenes that she might not say much. You guys see her there, but she is a force to be reckoned with. She's doing a lot of things. Give her a hand, guys. She's definitely active in the business, and most people don't realize that, but she's behind the scenes doing a lot of things behind the scenes for the team. But she's also at home with her children, homeschooling, and she's so on point. She's so organized and have everything together. She's the mother of the group. I was walking in here with my jacket on, and she said, I love that coat, and she looked down and saw a spot, and she instantly picked it up and started scraping whatever was on that spot. She said, you might want to go to the bathroom and get something and wipe that off a little bit. But Jessica, tell us, I mean, we've had a chance to get to know you, and you are amazing. But how do you balance it all out? Because I know your schedule, I know what you do. How do you balance all of it out, trying to handle it with the kids being home and managing the business, having a husband, he's got a lot going on, and still really being a powerful force in the household and having still your sanity? How do you do it?
That is a very good question. I'm kidding. Yeah, our life is unusual for many because we do homeschool. We have 3 wonderful boys. We have 2 high schoolers and a first grader. You guys have met them through this weekend. Once you decide to be at home, you know what? Come to think of it, this is not just a women's question. You know, this is no matter what your situation. We have a lot of men here who you're still working in your job. You've got to figure out how to fit in both businesses. We've got a lot of women who are doing the same thing. The situation for me is know what you need to get done, decide the best times to get that done, and get your family together as a team. Assuming you have a family, situation. Get your family together as a team and say, you know what, here's the goal for us, for our family. Telling our boys,
we want to do great and wonderful things, but here's what it's going to take. And carving those times out and saying, this time frame is for this. You know, and assuming you don't have very small children, it's kind of a thing of, if you're not bleeding, you know, you know, hey, mom, dad, whatever the situation is, you know, we need to get this done in this situation in this time. In our family, like you guys had said, you find out what works in your couple. In our family, I have 2 high schoolers and a 1st grader. My first job is a teacher. I love to teach. My first job is a teacher. So I have priority from morning until after lunch. That's what I do. You know, what I do with Tony in our business, he doesn't come to me during that time frame because he knows that that's my priority.